back to part 52 of Palaven, our vanilla Cities Skylines build. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And how about this? Imperator's interchange. Oh my god. Amazing. So good. Thank you so much for all support in this episode. You guys really blew it up. Just crazy. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It really is an honour to have an Imperator build in Palaven. What a wonderful interchange it is, right? So many wonderful layers of height. Lots of detail and lots of fences everywhere. Everything that we like in Palaven, isn't it? Oh, yes. So good. So good. A huge fangirl moment, everyone. Absolutely is. When I started Fremwood, I never thought that Imperator would be building something in one of my cities. But here we go. Huge fangirl moment. Yeah, huge. Amazing. Anyway, in today's episode, we are going to start working on the European road network frame. So for those of you that have been following the series for a while, you will remember back when we built the American side of the downtown, which is obviously very much inspired by Pittsburgh. We came through and built in a frame first of all before we placed anything else, any zoning, any unique buildings, any detailing. We had to draw in the frame, which I think has worked out quite nicely. You know, once we had that base ring road in, we could then come in and add in smaller, more detailed junctions which feed into kind of the internal builds, and you know, we worked on the skyline and then kind of a stadium and entertainment area, the theme park, IT cluster park, the green cities area. You know, there's a lot of kind of smaller builds within the frame, and we're going to take this same concept with our European area over here. However, there is a few things that we need to discuss before we start building in the European theme. So because we're playing unmodded without particularly Move It and Road Anarchy, the European themes can get a little bit messy. So if we come in and change this to European, right, and then we'll grab ourselves just a very basic road. Okay, and then we're just going to help fracture the zone in a little bit here. So European road networks, just by their very nature, are very chaotic, right? They're really different from any kind of Americans, which tend to follow after a lot of grid stuff. So if we were to come in here and paint away just some regular high density residential zoning, let's just keep fracturing the grids in kind of, you know, a very rough European road network layout, and then we'll just kind of see how this begins to look. So because of the way the vanilla game is going to be handling this kind of zoning, we are going to stick fairly close to grids, nothing too major, not quite fully American, but we can just see, you know, because of the fractured zoning, we can't get those perfectly tight corners that you see in a lot of European cities. So there will be some element of grid, but we will go with some kind of organic European layouts as well, okay? It's not going to all be grids. But before we start building any kind of infrastructure, of course, we're working with a brand new area, brand new theme. It is time to head over to Google Maps and find out what kind of inspiration we're going to be taking from for this area. So the main inspiration, I'm pleased to announce, for Palaven's European area will be coming from Barcelona in Spain. And we can kind of see why here, right? Barcelona is renowned for these like real heavy super grids that it's got going on. We won't quite follow this pattern. You can see there's kind of more of an old town district right here, where the road layout is a lot more chaotic. And then you kind of head maybe like across an arterial, and we come across these very distinct, I guess they're referred to as super blocks, right? And there is actually a really interesting video on YouTube about how Barcelona is reducing traffic with this particular type of design within the city. So as Barcelona is coastal, Palaven's European area is coastal as well. Palaven's coastal will go more industrial as opposed to kind of tourism like you get in Barcelona, but we'll do some kind of nice beach stuff over there as well, especially by the river, over by the highway. But no, if you guys haven't used Google Maps before, I will champion it always and forever. Great inspiration for your Cities Skylines stuff. For example, if you're looking for a little plaza here, some nice open parkland. It's very cute, isn't it? It's very nice. Lots to get involved with. So yeah, we'll take inspiration from Barcelona for a lot of our road layouts and kind of asset placements. So we'll start going ahead and placing in the Palaven road infrastructure. So the natural terrain on the Murky Coast map is pretty hectic. There's a lot going on. It's very slopey. I do want to maintain some of that slope as we go down towards the coast, but not quite this intense, right? So I think what we're going to do is just kind of scoop out a couple of layers, okay? So this is like our highest point right here, so we can start to terraform out this one. Again, just using our level terrain tool. Just going to scoop through and just bring everything onto the same layer. Oh, hello plane. Oh, two planes. Don't know how loud that was. It might have been very loud. Apologies if it was. Okay, bringing it all up to the same layer. Nice and easy. Don't mind a little bit of roughness, doesn't have to be totally flat. But we'll bring it up in a couple of places, alright? Okay, I think that's going to be a good layer. And then we'll go ahead and right click on a different terrain height here. Maybe let's come down to this height. But then when we're getting these harsher kind of cliff sides in, we'll come through with our soften terrain tool. And just ease them out a little bit. Okay. Nice big circular motions with the right click function. Just so we don't get that kind of harsh dirt cliff, right? It's a nice little smooth slope. And then once we do kind of, say in 20 episodes time, we have the vast majority of the European area constructed, we're going to have a nice little tiered effect as we look over from the coast here especially, which I think will be nice. I think it'll be appreciated. So the initial structure here, we're going to start coming out from Imperator's interchange where he's left it here for us. Let's say come out by 10, okay? And then we're going to start curving away here. So let's come to our curve tool. We're going to grab a nice big 20 curve and then bring it straight down here. And then we'll do the same again, coming out like that. Okay, and we're going to feed this highway straight into the downtown. This will be how it kind of opens up, right? So let's grab ourselves some larger, more important roads to start forming what will be the city centre, I guess, right? We're going to come onto the road guideline here. We're going to come out by 10 on each side from each guideline. Okay, and we're going to grab those 6-lane arterials and we'll run them for about 40 tiles, is that? Yeah, about 40 tiles distance, okay? And then I've kind of got a very distinct picture in mind here, right? So we'll kind of fill this with parkland, and then there'll be some nice unique building at the head, and then we'll start to span off our internal road network off of these 2 arterials, and then also start to look at the ring road that will surround this area as well. So let's come back into our highway, then we're going to grab our freeform, and then we're going to start curving up to them, right? Something like this. Plenty of nice decoration opportunities here as well as we kind of come into this part of the city. I guess it would actually make sense for us to run these as one-ways. Okay. Making sure that we're sticking to our lane directions here too. And I can switch the direction. We also have a road here as well that we want to factor into the European network. So we'll grab our 2-lane highway. And we'll start bringing this out as well. I also want the one that's 2-lane, or 2-direction rather. Okay. And then we'll just keep bringing this out and kind of leave it as a reminder that we want this as another connection into the European area at some point in time. Okay. Very nice. We'll also have the mountain road that comes out of the mining town. We'll do a whole episode on this mountain road, kind of, how we can maybe put in some little viewpoints and maybe some smaller, really small towns up in the hills here, and have this as another connection in, and then also a connection out of here as well once we eventually get over to that part of the town. Okay, so very grandiose at the minute, isn't it? It is very grandiose. Even with the road layout, it's important that we keep checking from all angles, right? We want to make sure that we're looking important and that we're looking good. So in terms of the ring road public transport in the American side of the downtown, which is of course inspired by Pittsburgh, we used overground metro as the supporting public transport network to run alongside the road. And I think for the European area, we are actually going to use Monorail, which will be a nice change of pace and a nice little aesthetic. There's a couple of things I want to do with the Monorail. So if we come into our terraforming tools and grab shift terrain just for a hot minute and just sink a little bit of land down, okay, not too much, and then we move down a size, level out this terrain on this height just so we're creating a little bit of a ditch, a little bit of a trench, okay? Come into our public transport and grab ourselves a monorail line. We can do like a really nice trick with the monorail line here, okay? So the lowest it will go to ground is this one, which is still fairly low to ground, but it's not quite the aesthetic that I'm looking for. So if we come up just a couple of points, so we're just level, we're just above level with the top of the trench, okay? And then we come back into terraforming and then we right click and fill in that trench that we've dug. as such. Okay, let's fill it all back in. This is going to give us a really low to ground monorail line, which has a really nice look about it, right? Imagine some monorails passing through here. So I think during the distances that the ring monorail travels, we're going to bring it really low down to ground in certain places over here, okay? Obviously we can't do it the whole way around because it has to rise up again to enter the stations. And when it's within the inner city, this might be a little more complicated to do. But you can totally get on board with the idea, right? It's a really nice way to use the monorail line this low to the ground. So we'll do that in a couple of places as well. So we're going to have the monorail and the road kind of follow each other at their own respective heights, right? So once the ring road elevates, the monorail will elevate alongside it as well. I think we'll keep it just slightly lower as well, which would be a nice little touch. Bring this one out too. Just keep into the road guidelines of everything that we've already joined in so far, okay? And then bring that one over to a close. I also hope that you guys can kind of see the benefit of doing like an initial road infrastructure. Now that we kind of saw how it worked for the downtown, allow us to be much more precise in our builds. I think it worked out nicely. I think it did. Okay. So again, double checking the placement and the orientation here, making sure that was still somewhat sensible looking. There's great opportunities here as well to get on and off ramps directly into the highway from the ring road too, which is always going to help our traffic. So now as we start coming to ground over here, okay, this is where I want that kind of monorail design to start appearing from time to time. So we're going to start sinking down a little bit here, okay? Then we're going to grab our level terrain tool. Then we're going to start pushing just a little cavity out. Of course this won't run the whole way. Of course where the land kind of naturally sinks down as well would be a good place to kind of come back in with this little monorail design. Lots of little ideas today that we can get involved with forming a European road network. Let's grab that monorail again. So if we just kind of zoom in, then we come up by a couple of steps. Maybe something like that, okay? I think that'll be alright. And then we'll grab our freeform tool. And then just allow this monorail to keep curving like this, alright? Level terrain again. Won't make you guys watch this entire process, don't worry. And then just fill in the trenches. Just to help bring a little more importance to the monorail. Okay, and then we can see as it kind of comes back out into this ditch over here, this is going to be a good place to bring it up back to its normal height as it comes alongside the highway. So we'll just kind of begin to see how this idea is going to take shape, right? So let's now draw in those parallel straight pieces of the ring road. We'll come back to our freeform and then just snap into these road guidelines in the same increments that we drew in with the monorail line. It's going to allow us to generate a really nice aesthetic for the ring road, right? We can kind of see this running around now. Kind of monorails running back and to across this with the cars as well. Of course, plenty of decoration opportunities too. If we wanted to discuss so early in the episode some potential decoration, how about a little repeated sugar maple pattern? That's just going to help flank this monorail design, right? Maybe not that many, maybe spaced a little further apart than that, but you get the concept, I think, right? This is what we're after. Just this is the spice sample, isn't it? Repeat this across the rest of the map and we're good, and we're going to be good. Okay, so I'm going to carry on just kind of linking these two sections together and start bringing our ring road down this flank and discussing how we're going to hook into this highway. And then we'll be right back. So as we now begin to approach where one of the arterials is going to feed through, we'll carry on bringing down our base road template here. Let's go ahead and grab another arterial. I think maybe just go for a 6-lane here. Of course, this is all subject to change. Continue to terraform out just a little corridor. And don't forget, as we're kind of putting in these initial frames, it will be very ugly for a little time. Don't forget, just as we're kind of placing in all these initial frames and base ideas, it will be a little bit ugly. Then we can bring this up on the slope. Again, just making sure that the terrain is fairly kind. It's not too much of a harsh design there, is it? And again, lots of decoration opportunities for right here. Maybe we can come through with some zoo fence for a little bit of a change. Kind of feed this down here, right? Bring it down either side. And then again, maybe more repeated sugar maple patterns if you wanted to bring these parallel with the road. Of course, you can just use the 6-lane with decoration if you wanted to, but I think kind of decorating your roads like this in the main areas of town gives it a little more importance, makes it look a little bit different, right? So we want to make sure that we're kind of landing on a similar height, right? So let's go ahead and right click. I'll land over here. Just terraform out a little bit of a platform for our ring road to land on. Again, just double checking that we're okay here. Bridges are a little janky there, but we're only building the frame right now. We can always amend this slightly afterwards, right? Okay, got a nice little, again, another nice entrance into this side of the city. Lots of layers of height, of course. Let me carry on bringing our little ring road down here now, okay? Let's go and start sloping out this terrain. And soften it out, take away a little bit of that harshness. Of course, if you're after that harshness, you can get some really nice kind of mountain ring road vibes going. But just as this is our ring road, we want it to be somewhat sensible for the time being, okay? Start coming out in longer inclines as we come down this hill. Again, checking those angles, checking those slopes, making sure that everyone's happy. And then we can bring it down over this side as well. But I think we're going to be okay here for right now. I think we are going to be okay. So now that we're starting to move down onto that different tier that we dug out at the start of the episode, let's continue that idea. Let's kind of see where we're coming up to. Skip ourselves out a little more room with the level terrain tool. All the way up here. Very nice. Fantastic. There's really not too much to say in these kind of road infrastructure episodes, guys. It's all just about kind of following your patterns. Sticking to smaller increments allows you a little more customization over how this looks. You know, just double check that we're okay here. There's a touch of roller coaster vibes beginning to develop there. It's a little bit gnarly, but I think we can live with it, alright? Okay, so as the ring road starts to move towards the coast, I'm thinking this is where we're going to play with that kind of our cathedral asset, right? Have it right up here against the water. There's going to be some really nice sunset vibes from here as well. So I think what we'll do is introduce a roundabout into it, kind of make some nice fancy interchange out of it for people to get on and off the ring road at this point. Again, we'll continue to terraform out our different layers. Okay, there's also a nice opportunity here as well for some lovely rail and highway interchange into the ring road here too. This is what we'll save this space for whenever we come to work on this part of the town. Let's go ahead and grab our roundabout. So we'll possibly go for about here, okay. I think that'll be a sensible solution. Now, get rid of this road. And we'll start bringing up our actual ring road lanes. Okay. Of course, let's lock the roundabout into place with some dirt roads so we can draw some lanes off of it and keeping everyone nice and parallel into those road guidelines. It's going to make sure that all our pillars are nice and uniform, which is always appreciated, I think, isn't it? Okay, so maybe grab some fancier arterials. Once we kind of terraform out this platform here, come in and soften it a little bit, give ourselves a little bit of a ramp to move up. And then we can have this as a road that's going to flow off into the city centre. Likewise with this one as well. Okay. Not too bad right now, I don't think, is it? So to make sure that we're bringing our bridge down in a nice symmetrical pleasing manner, we can come ahead and redraw in the measurements here. So from the roundabout, so from the pillar in the roundabout back to the next marker of 10, we know we're at 1090. So we'll draw it out for that one. And then from that point there, we're at another 1090, and then it's a 1670 slope back down to the earth. Again, just making sure that our terrain is level here. See, we're about to drop in, so that's going to affect our bridges as they come down. Again, there's a nice opportunity here because we know we have oil over here, right? Yeah, this will be a fairly industrialized coast, I think. I don't know, actually. Maybe. We could kind of take this tourism and leisure. Have a nice little beachfront up here in this bay. There's some ferries moving around. So there's a little shipwreck here as well. Rest in peace. Shout out to the Evergiven, everyone. So how about if we actually use this terrain as an opportunity to bring the ring road through in its own little elevated banking, which I think would be quite nice. Maybe get some nice parks in these little ditches or some cute little residential designs. Okay. And you can imagine as you're kind of sat at the beach, you're going to see the elevated ring road here. It's going to be quite nice, I think, for everyone involved. And then we'll just soften that out as we come back onto the kind of the main tier and allow it to flow. So it was 1670. Back down to the earth, wasn't it? There we go. Fantastic. And then we can continue these in nice, super straight lines. Be a great opportunity to get a monorail station in here too, of course. And we'll keep it in. Just come ahead and clear out a touch of the forest. Well, not a touch, all of it. Not just a touch. Okay, and then we'll actually draw in the straight pieces up here first of all, just so we've got a road guard line to snap onto with these curves. Okay, just come out to these. Let's take away a touch more of it. There we go, fantastic. And then over and out to this one as well. So we're now just starting to see that larger ring infrastructure beginning to develop in this area, right? Okay, I think everyone's going to have a nice time. I think what I might do off camera is, obviously this is just kind of initial design, is just centralize it with this road right here. So maybe this road in the middle meets up with this point. I don't know, I guess that's kind of where the chaotic European road network comes into it, right? Maybe not everything has to be symmetrical here. I suppose we'll see. We will see. Okay, again, let's just double check our terrain here, make sure that we're not kind of going too crazy. So the mountain road will come down at this point as well, so this could be a nice little opportunity to, again, kind of sink the ring like it is within the American side of the downtown. So potential opportunities there. Let's have a little look at that idea, shall we? Let's come back into our terrain view. We're going to set it out up to here. We're going to see how harsh this ditch is. It might give us too many sunken vibes. You could also tunnel it as well if we wanted to. It might be nice to have a little bit of a tunnel. Also a nice place to separate the ring monorail into maybe a transport hub on this side of the city too. Lots of ideas. Too many even. Possibly too many ideas today. And again, lots of easy, simple terraforming. Cutting away big chunks of the mountain. There we go. Okay, yeah, so I think we will actually use this as an opportunity to sink the ring. Let's keep bringing it down. Okay. Maybe 10 more. Also with this design as well, allows us to bring some really nice walking paths across the ring road. Especially if we have some stuff on kind of tucked into this side of the mountain. Lots of nice walking infrastructure as always. Okay, so keep going out smaller increments. And then how do we feel about that one right there? Yeah, I think we can get on board with some tunnel action. Come back up to ground level. And making sure that our tunnels are as symmetrical as possible. We're slightly off there, are we? Yeah, we are. Let's refine that a touch. There we go. Nice and parallel. And then we'll come back into our terraforming. And then let's kind of decide. So because we're in the middle of a slope here, it's going to be a little hard to terraform it around, but we'll do our best. I guess it's a good opportunity just to kind of cut away here, right? So also make sure that we're leveling out at the same height this side. And lots of opportunity for little rock decals to come through this area too. And make sure that we flatten out the middle. And what we could also do is dig out a cavity for that kind of lower sunken monorail line to join into the inner city centre. Get some nice walking paths up along that. Lots of design ideas today, isn't there, ladies and gentlemen? Lots of design ideas. It's nice big long stretches. I'm quite happy with this ring road actually. It's lots of different shapes and sizes. Definitely needs a touch of refining. See the monorail's just a touch of jank about it. Nothing too serious, but kind of the way it goes into tunnels and then it's down on the ground and then it's on bridges. It's a nice little feature. So let's bring a bit of this mountainside out. Of course we'll terraform around it and bring some nice rocks on board. But let's give ourselves a nice base shape to hook into the tunnels on this side. Okay, also a nice opportunity to bring the mountain road junction into the ring road as well. Okay, so let's go for let's say here, how are we feeling about that? Tiny bit more. A nice little connection in there. Yeah. Yep, I'm okay with that, I think. Again, we'll come up by 3. Then elevate into that little bank in here. Yeah, that's okay. Just come back up to the earth. Out to that road marker again. And have our freeform. And just slowly curve in. Of course, we can now come back and adjust our terraforming slightly. And then just take real skim layer off. And then we can then connect those underground. And then just come back and soften a little bit of this banking out. And of course, just touching on the spice designs for these kind of things. Wanted to maybe come in with some of the larger rock assets around these and kind of build it into something of, you know, a cliff face that's come down around the mountain. There's of course plenty of opportunities to kind of get involved in this sort of stuff. Yeah, sort of kind of smaller micro ring road decoration which we'll get involved with today as well. But we can just kind of see the base frame beginning to take shape. Very much like it did with the American downtown, right? So now that we have our kind of base ring structuring right, it's now time to come through into some of those longer, straighter pieces of ring road and begin to introduce some of that sunken monorail line that we are so fond of. So I'm just going to come in where we have a couple of these really kind of straight and narrow pieces where I know I'm not going to have a monorail stop. I'm just going to bring it through here, okay? Dig ourselves out a nice little ditch. Then we come into our monorail. We want to draw in the monorail where it's going to be at its normal height, just so we have the road guideline in the trench. Okay, then we're going to come up. Let's come in a little closer. I think probably one more step down I'll be okay. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. Keep it going for the full length that you want it to be sunk for. And that's going to be quite nice. Come back into our level terrain. And then just push it under. And I hope you guys kind of like this idea. It's a really nifty way of using the monorail lines, especially if you're running them for longer distances like we are doing with the ring monorail here. And you know, once it's surrounded by maybe some fencing as well and some of those repeated sugar maple designs, we're going to have a really nice, unique looking ring road. Certainly a lot different to kind of the Pittsburgh ring metro, right? At least I hope so. Then we'll come out here, and then as we begin to climb up this hill, bring it out by 11, and then it will just slowly ascend, and we can hook it into this one over here. And then likewise at this point, we'll come out from there, bring it right down to the ground, and then hook it back in. So now you can do it for kind of as long or as short as you want. really is kind of up to you as to what aesthetic you want to take in the supporting ring public transport. I think, you know, just seeing it here. Let's see if we can kind of get a nice little sample here with the harbour in the background. Let's come ahead and grab some of those sugar maples. Let's pop the spacing up maybe a touch further, maybe to 23. Yeah, that's going to be nice. Okay, kind of bring it in here. Nice and simple. Okay. It's going to sync really nicely between the sugar maples. We don't have two sugar maples, of course. Maybe try it out with colour tree number 2, which I know is a firm favourite of the channel. And you can kind of keep alternating this pattern, changing it up to different ones. Almost like turn it into like a work of public art, right? Actual modern art for once. You know, just to help highlight it a little more. And of course some fence designs. I think the farm fence would work really nice with this actually. Maybe let's have a look at some fence samples as well. Maybe the farm fence would work nicely with this palette. You know, there's a multitude of combinations of trees and fence and even some nice rocks in here as well if we can squeeze in some of the smaller ones. Let's have a little look. Yeah, you can even bring in some little repeated rock patterns here too. Of course, this is all stuff we'll cover during the detailing time lapse. So I'll try and design a couple of different kind of palettes and ideas that we can all get on board with. You know, like this. We're kind of enjoying this spice sample right here, okay? Let's then head over and have a look how the ring metro is performing over here. Now, it's a very different kind of vibe and aesthetic, isn't it, over on the American side. The public transport very much kind of dominates the look here, doesn't it? Because the elevated metro is so chunky. But I think we're going for some slightly more subtle, almost modern vibes with the metro in this fashion, right? I think I'm enjoying it. I hope you all are as well. Because if not, then why are you watching? Okay, so I'm going to carry on introducing the monorail in a couple of different places all the way around the ring road, and then we'll start to have a look at kind of the internal kind of major infrastructure before we kind of move into the detail and time lapse for today. Okay, so I'm happy with the overall base ring road structure now. It's given us a nice frame to go ahead and start working on some of the smaller stuff. So let's have a little look at how we can start about this, shall we? So we now need to do some kind of final terraforming just to help everything sit in a little easier. We can kind of see what's going to happen here. So let's continue to terraform around these tunnels and we'll start from this side of the downtown, okay? Push ourselves out a little more land. And of course we'll go ahead and soften kind of these slopes out and have two little nice ring ramps that come up and down around this tunnel here. It's all about that interconnectivity, right? So let's have a look at the possibility of a road to kind of cross over this ring at certain points. Come across by about here. Okay. Again, let's kind of have a little look at the elevated layers of spice that we're going to be having around this area. Here we come through with a little bridge. So you can see how this will begin to develop. They're really nice up here. Little tunnels and stuff. Monorail, looks like the monorail might just scratch the roof of that bridge, but I think we'll be okay. We can always refine it, okay? But lots of little elevated bridges and stuff. I think it'd be a nice time for all of us. Okay. So in terms of the initial road infrastructure, we can see that we're not level here, right? Kind of if we're centralizing these two roads, these two kind of meet up quite nicely in the middle. But then this one is kind of on a totally off angle. So I think what we'll do is we're going to take away this road right here. And then we're going to kind of have everything. There's lots of planes coming this way, isn't there? It's like the third one today. We're going to kind of centralize everything off of this arterial, right? That comes off the roundabout here. This is where it's going to be kind of focused on. So we're going to carry on bringing this up to a point. Yeah, I think just because it's kind of an important inner city road, we'll give it that 6-lane kind of aesthetic, right? And again, making sure that our terrain slopes here aren't too gnarly. will look a little strange at the minute, granted, but give it time and we will come to kind of appreciate it a little bit more. Again, another kind of key arterial 6 lane that's going to go through the heart of the city. And I think we will throw some assets down today as well, just to kind of get a vibe as to how these 6 lanes are going to sit within the city. Okay, let's bring that one off. Probably would be a good idea to have this as a roundabout, which I think we will do. Although kind of the 4-way intersection here does have quite a nice vibe about it. I guess we'll see. Just kind of planning for right now, okay? Okay, so now we can centralize this design that we want to be kind of the city entrance onto this road guard line right here. So we'll take away this kind of structure. Okay. Very nice. By 50 tiles each here, right? Yeah, so a nice 50 tile run up into the city. This will be quite impressive. And I'm kind of thinking, let's have a look at some of our European uniques here. Possibly either the City Hall to sit up at the front with some nice kind of grand parks in front of it, maybe. Maybe even with a cathedral, but I think I do want the cathedral over by the downtown, or over by the coast rather. But there's a couple of different vibes we can get, right, as we kind of emerge into the city here. I think we'll definitely save the cathedral for over by the coastal cliffs. I think that'll be nice. Get some nice open parkland vibes down there. What else? Another government offices too would probably be a good shout. Let's have a little look at that. Yeah, that's more the vibe, right? Surround it with some of those European zoned assets. Yeah, I think I'm feeling that one. Lots of ideas anyway. They will come in future builds. We need to focus on getting the road network set up today. Okay everyone, the city entrance is complete, which is great news. Kind of see some larger, more important vibes beginning to develop now, can't we? Yes boys. We just started drawing out some initial arterials for everything to start feeding into. And then we've got to be a little careful here with the junctions. It's probably a good idea to introduce a roundabout, but I think I want to try something with some bridges that are going to float over and give us some nice elevated road infrastructure within the downtown itself. So let's have a look at that idea, shall we? So we're going to come through with a little arterial. Maybe come out by 11 tiles. And then we'll come up by 3. And then we'll start to cross over here, okay? So again, very symmetrical road networks here. Should give us a nice time. Then we'll up by 3 again. Let's see kind of how we're feeling about this particular idea. A very kind of grand entrance to this part of the downtown. Get a nice symmetrical asset in here. Let's try one of those European ones out again. Oh, we have the Amsterdam Palace as well. So many options. So many options indeed. Okay. It's not bad. And then again, we can do kind of lots of public gardens behind the back of this. Lots of people walking through, which would be nice, I think. I think we'll tether the transport hub onto kind of one of these areas as well. Maybe on the left-hand side here, have some nice kind of grand train station infrastructure as we enter this part of the town. Oh, look at that view as well. I'm really looking forward to building this part of the city. Very much am. Okay, let's get rid of that. And we'll start to have a look at some stuff over here. So we've got our little kind of national road that's feeding out of the dumbbell interchange over here, right? So this will have a couple of connections on it before it arrives into the downtown. Let's maybe throw it a roundabout. And I think what we'll do with these kind of outer line areas, we'll also feed it into the mountainside road, which will feed up here, but maybe a couple little outer line European towns that will look into that skyline, right? Very much how we've kind of got the outer line suburbia for Pittsburgh, you know, kind of generate this view, but in a European style instead. I think that's kind of what we're going for. Lots of cycling in the European area too, I think, as well. Should be a good time. Okay, so of course, as we did with the Pittsburgh road network, we're going to start just drawing in the general boxes, and kind of the finer road network and smaller detailing will come in those subsequent episodes. So kind of don't worry about the traffic flow and the structure right now. We're really just giving ourselves a base frame. You know, once we get to that point, we'll introduce kind of one-way systems and kind of smaller, more intricate networks, right? How we kind of align in here. We're actually perfect with the grid, which is nice. So how about another bridge here, okay? Let's come out by 10, and then we'll come out by 11, and then up by 3, and then we can meet perfectly in the middle there, which is going to be wonderful. Let's actually break that. How many tiles away are we here? So there's a pillar 2 tiles in, which will be nice. What do we want the pillar in the middle? Decisions. Okay, let's keep going. Let's come across again over there as well. And lots of nice road infrastructure here, of course. And again, maybe just to touch on the the finer micro spice of the area. Do we want to start complementing the arterial road with some smaller path networks? We can kind of feed these up on either side. Plenty of different templates, all the stuff that we've done in Palaven before can all be applied here. Lots of kind of bordering road network designs and whatnot. Okay. And then we can even maybe start to bring up some little supporting pedestrian bridges that are going to kind of happen in this area here. We can even turn this into elevated cycle network as well if we wanted to. Again, all of kind of Palaven's usual themes of walkability and everything that we enjoy, right? It's important that we bring those themes into this area as well. So we can repeat this design here, up by 1, and then join in with the network. Cross them over in the middle, get some nice park assets in here, and just really helps give a little bit more importance to the big run up into the European area, okay? Very nice, very nice. Let's have a look at some final terraforming touches. So of course we're starting to just come up to a little bit of an awkward space, so start terraforming out a little bit more on this layer. Putting ourselves a nice smooth ridge. Again, even as we kind of move down between these different layers, right, it's going to be lots of nice opportunities to come through with like elevated walking paths and stuff that bring people down from different layers. Some nice little elevated tram lines that are going to be in this area too, and moving between. Kind of like a more hardcore experience at Dawson. If we very quickly fly over, I realise I'm constantly looking at other parts of Palaven here. But you can see, right, so like Dawson Waterfront is essentially a scaled down version of what the European city centre will look like. You know, there's different layers. We have a look at the terrain overlay here. You can see, right, it's set on 3 different tiers as it moves up away from the water. We're doing this on a much grander scale, right? So you can see where kind of the tram line slightly elevates and just moves down to the next area. It's all very nice, isn't it? So I think what we're going to do with this monorail line as it comes between this side of the ring road where it goes into the tunnel is just help to sink it down a little bit like we've done in a couple of other places around the ring. Oh, hello, bear. Yes, the bear. The bear is back from the tutorial city. Let's hope he stays here. I believe they despawn if they cross a road, which it doesn't look like he's got much life left in him if that's the case. We'll hopefully see him around in future builds. Oh, I thought he despawned. No, he's good. So I'm just going to dig out that monorail cavity again. I think it'd be quite nice to have this up alongside this little mountain. Got some nice kind of rocks and overgrowth and forest vibes around this monorail as it flows past. I think that'd be quite nice. So we'll come down into the trench, of course. Let's come to our freeform tool. I'll start to bring it over. I think I'm happy with that elevation. You kind of get a sense of how low to the ground it's going to be here. And just keep it flowing. Okay. Over this side as well. Fantastic. And then we'll terraform again to give it that nice low to the ground vibe that we are very, very fond of today. Perhaps a potential future spice of the month for those in the Discord, some low to the ground monorail action. I guess we'll kind of see, right? See what everyone thinks of the idea. If you guys hate it, then of course we won't. Okay, let's start to elevate up in gradual inclines. We want to cross over the ring road here as the monorail separates away from its little parent road. Okay, And then we'll take away a section of this piece. And bring in some funky little stops like this. Yeah, I think that's a little more realistic, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, lots of nice decoration opportunities around here. I think I'm fairly happy with that. I think we could even bring this one for some like real fine road against road action down this side, and then use this as an opportunity for maybe some of that modern city content creator stuff, so we get some really nice, lush, rich looking commercial buildings up alongside the arterials here. I think that'd be quite nice. Okay, let's bring this through as well. I'm aware we've deleted our little pedestrian bridge, but we'll live. Okay. And then again, some kind of nicely decorated entrance into the city via the National Road. And there's somebody already using it. Interesting. Where are you going? I'm assuming you're going to get back on the highway, right? Oh, there's people over here as well. Yeah, people are using it already to get on the highway. Where are you going? Oh, he's heading down there. Interesting that they're picking that up as a route. Surely if he's come off the highway, he's quicker to stay on there. But oh well, that's fine. It's going to be okay. Okay, so I think we'll also begin to paint out some districts and just have to kind of name a couple of builds. I think this is definitely going to be our larger transport hub here. So again, we can just mark out these areas so we know what we want here. Larger transport hub, get some national train lines feeding into this line over here from Imperators Interchange. Okay, so we got a transport hub in there. And then again, we can just kind of draw in our basic boxes for larger train stations and whatnot. I think we probably will go with one of the big, large transport hubs here. Probably the multi-end platform train station. So again, you know, kind of the orientation of the asset is going to be really important here. I think possibly even bring it so the rails kind of run down and alongside, right? Let's have a little look at that idea as to how this road network is going to sit. So if we were to bring out a road, just a little temporary connection for this to sit on. Do you want it right up against the entrance to the city here? I think that would be quite nice. And then we can also factor in some rail lines to flow out of here as well. Possibly sink them into tunnels as it passes through the ring road, or even do some terraforming and bring them underground. Kind of how like Imperator's done here, right? So imagine this is the ring road. Just sink a little sunken area for the rails to come under. So many ideas and inspiration today, isn't there? There is. Okay, so we'll leave that as a reminder, and we'll also turn it off so it doesn't cost us any money. And then let's plan in those rail lines, bring them out the back of the station. I think it's important, especially with these kind of larger train stations, that we give them kind of space to breathe, right? Because you want all these rail lines to come out. You can hook some into the other if you like, and like bring one out here and hook it into the next line. But you know, obviously this will come during that transport hub episode. We'll just leave ourselves a reminder that there is to be rails flowing out of this particular area here. Okay, and then having the asset in is going to allow us to refine that road network a little further. Okay, going to maybe even bring up some kind of smaller arterial against smaller road spice. Okay, let's take away a little bit of this network here and then bring it up to a point, and then we can use this as a nice kind of big main vein to feed into the next layer. Okay, so of course where it's looking quite American at the moment, lots of very straight angles, lots of straight grids, but the smaller intricacies will of course come during those smaller episodes, just to emphasize the point. Very much like we did with the American side of the downtown, right? Okay, just keep feeding our arterials down, and I think what we'll do with this layer here is almost run like a little arterial boundary, if you like. Okay, lots of nice opportunities here for walking paths that are going to cross straight over the ring road. We've got a little bit of a ditch here, haven't we, which is not really making that much sense anymore, so let's just go ahead and fill it in. And then we'll kind of get an idea as to what some of those elevated walking paths will look like flowing over. I guess we can do some cycle path action as well, right? Maybe kind of come in from the 2 center points here. Make sure that we elevate up to a sensible height like that. Okay. And again, it's more elevated transport spice, isn't it? Begin to feed some of these off. We can maybe even kind of duplicate this pattern here if we wanted to. Just come off the road guide line temporarily. Okay. Very nice. And then continue that down to some kind of coastal cycle network. Even repeat the pattern on the other side, where we can maybe switch the walking path up. Okay. Of course, if we want to start actually planning for that cycle network in now, we can upgrade some of these arterials into bicycle lanes. Maybe have it feed directly up in here. And then straight down into the highway. And then down into the transport hub as well. It's kind of more cycle infrastructure being planned here, right? Get some nice cycle parks between these. Yeah, so I hope you guys kind of see how just putting in this initial skeleton of arterials and stuff will just help bring the city to life a little bit more. So I'm going to carry on doing this, just linking these arterials together and then filling in some final little path networks that we're going to be planning for. And then we'll kind of come back and see how we're looking towards the detail and end of things. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, a like below is always appreciated. Equal as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. This European base frame will serve us nicely over the next 20 episodes or so as we begin to fill it in, exactly how we did with kind of the Pittsburgh inspired downtown. Will now work in some more European vibes over on this side of the map towards the coast, which should be quite nice. Again, any requests for European specific builds, this is the episode to get them in the comments. We will try and do as many of them as we can. I've also added in some monorail stations just so we can see that kind of ring public transport in action. And I've gone for a nice sugar maple, flower tree number 2 and farm fence design for the ring road, which is quite understated but works nicely for the area, I think. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.